haven't been able to run for 10 years, probably because I couldn't say no, couldn't set boundaries. I can run now. I have so much energy. I'm cleaning everything. I used to be so depressed. I'm cleaning things, I'm going places, I'm meeting people, I'm having fun, and it's really just because I'm protecting my divine sacred energy inside of me now.
But I think that's like a big takeaway there is that you can get through it. And
Yes.
yeah, it may not be easy, but you can get through it. And sometimes you might have to do the difficult thing and cut ties with people. Welcome back to PCOS Unfiltered, where we ditch the one-size-fits-all advice. I'm your host, Lindsie, nurse turned health coach, 2-time author of Healing Beyond a Diagnosis and Healthy for a Reason, and your body wisdom guide. Here, I hope you understand the messages behind your symptoms so you can stop fighting your body and start working with it. Before we jump into today's episode, I want to invite you to join us inside the Healthy Ever After community. It's where the podcast comes to life, with weekly body wisdom tips, recipes, exclusive resources, conversations with women on the same journey, and monthly challenges with fun giveaways. In fact, we kicked off our very first community challenge this month, and it's not too late to be part of it. If you're only listening to the podcast, you're missing half the experience. You'll find the link to join the Healthy Ever After community in the show notes. Now, today's guest is Saige Whitney, host of a Lights Out Narcissistic podcast. Through her own journey of healing with narcissistic relationships, she discovered the life-changing power of boundaries, self-worth, and faith. Today, she's passionate about helping others recognize unhealthy patterns, protect their peace, and build relationships rooted in respect and authenticity. As always, this podcast is intended for educational and informational purposes only and should not be considered medical advice. Please consult your healthcare provider before making any changes to your diet, exercise, or treatment plan. Now, go ahead and maybe grab something to drink and get comfortable, and let's get started. Here is my conversation with Saige Whitney. Welcome back to PCOS Unfiltered, and welcome to Saige. High energy for this one, and a different topic. I think a very relevant topic. So let's just start by telling us about you. Why are you here? You have a podcast yourself. So where did that come from?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I get a few questions of why is it called a Lights Out Narcissistic podcast? That's the first question I get. So Lights Out is one of my favorite horror movies. And it's about this girl. Her name is Sophie. When she's younger, she is in a mental health psych ward. And this other little girl named Diana attaches onto her. And so then, and I talk about this in my episodes, but there's a time when a doctor separates the two. And he tells Diana, I want you to stay away from Sophie. And Diana says, why? She's my friend. And he says, then why did you hurt her? And she said, because she was getting better. And that part of the movie hit home to me, as does literally the whole movie. So after that, I had seen this movie. I had gotten out of this narcissistic abusive relationship. It was like 2 a.m. I was thinking about everything, and I thought, why don't I compare my experience with my ex to Diana? And the very sad part is they are a lot alike. Like, this is a demon in a horror movie and a narcissist in real life, and there's so much correlation and so many similarities. So I went on to create a Lights Out Narcissistic podcast. And I do compare myself to Sophie a lot in my podcast, how Sophie, she couldn't say no. She was very mentally ill and sick. And when she was sick, Diana could come in and rule her life. So that's where that podcast name came from.
Very interesting. I actually used to be like a big like horror movie person back in the day, but then I don't know. I have not watched a scary horror movie for a while. But that almost sounds a little interesting because I like the psychology,
Mm-hmm.
behind things. So yeah, I might have to just take a brief peek at that. Um, so yeah,
Yeah.
so
Well,
so tell us a little bit more, about this relationship, and you know, what were even like just some things that you were noticing along the way, and how maybe you were being manipulated, and how that was affecting you and your mental health and your physical health even.
yeah. So I met her through the healthcare system. I was a activity assistant director at a skilled nursing facility. And for the listeners, that's a place where elderly people, they need assistance. They can go live there and live the rest of their lives there. We also have people recovering from surgery that need physical therapy every day. We have people living there for a few months. We have stroke people that have strokes and need to learn how to even like put on a shirt again and learn how to walk again, stuff like that. So that's what a skilled nursing facility is. Sometimes we take recovering addicts, all this stuff. So she was a patient and she had lupus, and we were friends. We would talk and hang out, and one day, just out of the blue, she just texted me and she was like, I'm scared and I'm alone. I have 6 months to live. You don't even need to love me. Will you marry me? And at the headspace I was in at that time, I was heavily in an addiction, and not substances, but something else. And I just was like, wow, this is my only chance at love. This is my only ticket to love. And so I said yes. And what I wanted was to talk to her and tell her, hey, like, I'm interested in this proposal. What I need is for us to be friends and keep it professional until you leave this facility. Because she only had lupus. She told me she was dying, she had kidney failure, cancer, all these things. But all she really did have was lupus. And so they were looking to have her leave because she wasn't as sick as she was saying she was. And she was also harassing all the CNAs and male nurses.
Hmm.
So there was quite a few reasons. But what I wanted really was just to be friends until she left the facility and then we could start a relationship. That did not happen. She immediately told everybody. And looking back at it now, it felt like a form of blackmail. Just like, if I back out of this now, I am abandoning a dying girl, which a year later I figured out she wasn't even dying. But the things we'll do for love, man. The things we'll do for love.
Oh my gosh.
Crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell us more, So she ended up getting out of the facility?
Yeah. They put me on a paid leave to investigate. And I was really honest with them. I was like, this is a weird situation. Tell me what to do. I'm not here to sneak around. So they were like, okay, we'll pay you. We need to figure, we've had problems with this woman. So, and that was a red flag in itself.
Yeah.
But we'll, you know, just take some time away, go enjoy a week off, whatever. So I did. And then they fast tracked her out of the facility. And after they did that, from there, it was me. She would say she hit her head in the shower or she passed out. Um, I had seen her hurt herself, but she would do anything to go back to the ER. And at that time, I really thought she was sick, but looking back at it now, it was just to get opioids.
Mm.
And there's a lot of problems with the US healthcare medical system because this woman was on Dilaudid.
Mm.
That is, for the listeners, that is deathbed, kidney stone, crazy surgery,
Hospice. Yeah.
hospice.
Yeah. Yeah.
What the crap was she doing on Dilaudid? Like, and so, you just start thinking in your head, like, I really thought she was sick, all this stuff, but were the doctors careless and prescribing that to her? Because lupus is very sad, and any autoimmune disorder is very sad, and my heart goes out to anyone that has that. It's not a death sentence, though.
Mm-hmm.
And so, who prescribed this, and were they prescribing these meds to get money? These doctors, the more they prescribed deathbed medication, how much money was being put in their pocket? That's scary to me. And not only is it scary, is these medications are so potent, so crazy. At one point with her, she needed them so badly that she had brought a knife in the car and was like, I need opioids. I gotta stab myself. Like, I need meds. I'm in pain. I'm driving. I'm like, you can't do that. So plan B, she's like, fine, you're such a baby. She pulls out scissors like she had planned this. Just starts cutting open her belly button. Stomach acid is coming out. She's like just putting gauze on it like it's a regular Tuesday. And that was that. And so first thing, she was not screaming, crying, nothing. She was so high, it it was just like normal.
Like, yeah, didn't even phase her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And weed and hemp is so demonized in the US medical system. But you can't cut open your belly button on weed, no matter how high you are. But you can fall off a building on Dilaudid and walk and then run a marathon. That is what that taught me. And so there's something to say also about these meds and me wanting for the Western medicine to incorporate more natural medicines.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw that firsthand when I had period flu and everyone just thought it was a joke. So they put me on birth control because they're like, well, you have bad periods, I'll just put you on birth control. So after they put me on birth control, I ran a 101 fever for like a week, 2 weeks straight, and then my boobs were a triple D, they went to an H.
Oh
So
my gosh.
now, just because of birth control, I will probably need to get a breast reduction. And so what we're doing right now just isn't working, you know? And if I would have known about my awesome naturopathic doctor now, I would have just gone to him and then just had natural supplements that work so well.
Mm-hmm.
And to the listeners, like, I had walking pneumonia a few years ago. And I was like, I could not breathe. My naturopathic doctor put me on all these mushrooms. Reishi, like they're all these potent mushrooms, safe, not high mushrooms, and I got better in 2 weeks, which is very rare for walking pneumonia. Normally it takes months and you have a cough.
Mm-hmm.
2 weeks gone, no cough.
Yes.
So for people that don't believe in naturopathic medicine, maybe if you're struggling with PCOS or any kind of things, maybe it's time to look at a different route.
Mm-hmm.
Because for me, every time I went to this man with any period symptom, UTI symptom, he would clear it right up with just natural herbal supplements.
Yeah.
And it worked. It
Yeah.
worked.
Yeah. I mean, you bring up, great points with the breakdown in the healthcare system. I mean, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing right now, right? And I was a
Yeah.
nurse, especially in
Yeah.
the ER, so I would see this, myself. I would see the controlled substances being prescribed on a regular basis to the same people over and over again. And even we as nurses would try to advocate against that, a lot of the
Mm-hmm.
times because usually we were the ones that were there all the time and would see these, same people coming in. We would know like they had just gotten a huge prescription for whatever it was. And sometimes the doctors would still just continue to do it because they just didn't want to fight them and they just wanted to, keep them quiet and get a good satisfaction score on the survey, and unfortunately
Mm.
that's kind of how it is. And I always like preface this when I when I talk about this because I don't want to, demonize the healthcare system fully. There is a time, right, and a time and a place when you do need it. But if it
Absolutely.
is, general overall wellness care, a lot of the times we're doing a disservice to women, I think, especially like we were kind of talking about, But yeah, there's definitely there's breakdowns there, right? Like at what point, throughout that process, did any of the physicians say she needs some serious help? Like, did she end up going back into, even like mental health facility, mental health counselor, anything? Was that advised at any time?
No,
No.
not
See, and
once.
that's unfortunate too. And I would assume because she was probably using the ER a lot of the times instead of like a primary care doc.
Once a week. Yeah.
Yeah.
She'd have me drive her.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a lot what I would see, in the ER too. And so again, not to put it down, but I think it's just you have to be aware of the use, of our traditional healthcare system and
Yeah.
also being able to advocate for yourself, along with that and knowing that even if you are doing the traditional route, like ask the right questions, but then also
Yeah.
know that you could be doing some more natural things, and that was like, yeah, I mean, that was part of my journey, as well. So
Yeah.
how were you doing throughout all of that? When she was telling you to go to the ER every week and cutting yourself open, literally. I mean, like what
Yeah.
did that do to your mental health, your physical health? You mentioned the period flu, but were things just even popping up that were different or worse for
Oh
you
yeah. I was
physically?
sick all the time with her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Constant UTIs. She told me she was this is so funny. She told me she was asexual. She hates
Mm,
sex. I never want to have sex again, Sage. Um, and then I find out because we were only really engaged for like 2 weeks to a month. I don't know the exact amount of time.
mm,
And then we just call it off and we're friends. Um, which I'm grateful for. But throughout that time, she's like, "Oh, I hate sex. I never, I hate it." And then I find out a year later from a CNA that worked with her. That CNA ended up working with me because I've been a CNA for about 5 years. And she's like, "Oh, Sage, I caught her having sex with a man while you guys were together in the facility."
oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I always love to stress how I was getting UTIs and not even having sex. Your
Yeah.
body's screaming at you. This is a bad
Mhm.
person. This is a dangerous person. You need to run. You need to get out of here. Your body starts getting really pissed off when you're
Yeah.
with someone that's bad for you.
Yeah.
And I I love to say I like this quote. I don't love it, but I like it. It says, "Good girls don't get angry, they get sick."
Mm.
And, like, when you're not speaking up for yourself or saying no, and I couldn't say no. I had good girl syndrome, which for the listeners, good girl syndrome is when you can't say no, when you just do whatever authority anyone says, and you're more worried about other people's feelings than your own safety.
Yeah.
That is what good girl syndrome is. And it kills you. Like, it just that is why I got in this situation. I should have said no from the bat. but I felt bad. I wanted to make her feel good. I wanted her to not be alone. But what about me?
Mhm.
My body was always angry with me. I felt so unsafe with her, but I was like, well, I can't leave a dying girl. And, to the listeners, if someone's bad for you staying is enabling them.
Yeah.
They're not going to learn. People learn the most when you leave. That's when they
Yeah.
start to respect you. Abusive people. Now, if you have a good relationship and there's some hiccups and you can talk and communicate and there's respect, that's way different. But if someone is blatantly disrespecting you, taking advantage of you, you try to get them to apologize, they manipulate it. They won't take accountability.
Mhm.
Get rid of them. Leave. They're not learning anything. You're enabling them and you're hurting their evolutionary process, actually, of them learning and growing.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's time to let them go.
Yeah. Well, something that I don't think I've ever really shared on this podcast before, but I mean, I was in an abusive relationship, my ex-husband,
Yeah.
and yeah, narcissistic, controlling, and it got to a point, like, I mean, I think this podcast, you're sharing your personal story, but I think it's still a lot of people can relate probably in a lot of ways. Like, there's so much that people have been through, right? Um, and it affects so many other things, like you were saying, all that stress increases your cortisol, and even, like with
Yeah.
the new name change, like we were talking about too, to PMOS, for PCOS, because I think they're starting to discover that stress plays a role in all of that, as in any condition. But looking back, like for me, I had to get out in the middle of the day while he was at work, um,
Yeah.
because he just wouldn't listen to me. I kept telling him we needed to get help if we were going to make this work, and he didn't. He was too good for that, of course. And
Mhm.
I didn't feel safe anymore because while it was more mental and emotional abuse, it was starting to turn physical. And so
Yeah.
I had to leave in the middle of the day, and I packed up all my stuff and he came home to an empty house. And it doesn't make it easier, of course, but I felt safer. I was able to do it, but there were months of me still just going through all kinds of things. And then, of course, the divorce, proceedings. But looking back, I think, because I don't remember if I shared this with you when we first talked, but I was kind of borderline lupus when I first,
Yeah.
I didn't have full blown organ disease or anything like that, but I was definitely kind of on the brink headed that way, along with another autoimmune condition. But looking back, I think a lot of it stemmed from that abusive relationship. I think there were so many signs because a lot of it was around eating for him. He didn't want me to gain weight, and I could only eat certain things. If I finished my
Oh my
plate, oh my
gosh.
gosh, yeah.
What
So,
the?
yeah. So not only the emotional side, but like just even what we were eating because he wanted to go out to eat a lot and, what I was doing to my body in my 20s when I was with him because I felt like I didn't have any other choice along with just all the stress of it. Yeah, like you
Absolutely.
said, looking back, I think that was a big a start of it, and then when I finally left, I think the symptoms were starting to come about and I ignored them for years until I couldn't ignore them anymore. But that's another story in itself, of course. Um, so
Yeah. That's really hard. I'm
yeah.
I'm glad you're safe now and you're building yourself back up, and it's
Oh
because
yeah.
after that you're just in this dark hole.
Yeah.
You're just
Yeah.
lost.
Yeah.
I was lost.
Yeah.
And you feel so alone.
Yeah. What was your like rock bottom? What was the low point of all of it? Like either when you were with her and said, "This has to change," or maybe even after you left her, was there like what was the lowest point, would you say, for you?
Um, Definitely when she took me hostage in the hospital, and people are like, "How does someone take you hostage?" Um, well, you try to leave and go back to your job up north because she decided to pass out for an imaginary cause to get opioids. And you at the time you believe she's dying. Looking back, you feel like a fool. But yeah, I thought she was dying, so I am in the hospital. I need to leave. I need to go home. And she did seem fine. But, I have a life too. And we were only supposed to be down there three days. And she knew that her body wasn't good. She never took care of herself.
Mhm.
And so I should have had the right to go home and go back to my job. But she told me, if you leave, Saige, I'm going to die. My blood of my death is going to be on your hands. You're going to have to deal with that the rest of your life. You just left a dying girl in the hospital alone. And so one of my favorite podcasters, her name's Judy Fada. She talks about this stuff. You're free to go wherever you want, but in your mind, you're under lock and key by this person. And that is so
Wow.
true.
That is so powerful. It is. It's very
Yeah.
powerful, especially if you've been in any type of relationship like that. Yeah.
Yeah. You're
Yeah.
mentally taken hostage.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Oh
that
my gosh.
that was the that was the
The
rock
tipping
bottom.
point.
Yeah.
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 Just
So how are you doing
crazy.
now? How are things going for you now?
Wow. Like, I've done so much healing, energetic healing, um, spiritual, praying with God, all kinds of healing. Um, whether people believe this or not, breaking generational curses and cycles and learning how to say no. Um, Whole nother ball game. Learning how to set boundaries, healthy, happy boundaries with everyone around me. Um, and yeah, if something feels wrong, saying no. It's not mean. You're just listening to your body. And a good person, if you say no, they're like, okay, that sounds good. I'll see you another day. A disrespectful person gets mad, and that's a great sign that that's probably not someone you need super close to you. When my mom asks me if I want to go somewhere and I say no, she says, okay, that's a respectful person, right?
Yeah.
But with my ex, I would say, no, I don't want to take you to the hospital. You clearly are. There was one time she had food poisoning, and, well, she said she had food poisoning. She was fine. My nurse friend was with her, took her vitals. Everything was fine. If someone's having an allergic reaction, their throat's closing up, they're wheezing, things are puffy face, none of that. She was just standing there. She's like, I need to go to the hospital. Um, anyway, so she ended up, like, she was like, I have, I have, I'm having an allergic reaction, but the hospital's not going to believe me. So I need to make it really big so they really believe me. So I'm like, what are you even talking about? So she ended up eating this almond joy. So she would actually have an allergic reaction. So I'd
Oh,
actually take her to the hospital,
oh my gosh.
and it stabs herself with an EpiPen and then has a seizure in the ER. You're a nurse. If a patient is having a seizure from an EpiPen, was there even an allergic reaction? Or was it just,
Probably not. I mean, I don't know. Like might depend on, did she ever have seizures before?
no?
Okay. Yeah. I would say probably not. But I don't know, but it could be possibly from from an allergic reaction. Could it have been, was the EpiPen expired? Who
Yeah.
knows, right? It could have been, did she take something else that could have interacted?
Well, she did
Yeah.
actually take almonds to actually have an allergic
Yeah, but
reaction.
I'm saying, like, did she have something else in her system that could have interacted? Because sometimes, depending on if they gave her something then when she was in the ER that could have interacted with whatever was in her system, so it could have been a lot of scenarios. But
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't know. All I know is that I multiple times said, no, I don't want to take you to the hospital. Nothing's wrong. And then, you're so selfish, Sage.
Mhm.
You're so selfish. I'm a dying girl. Blah, 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 blah. And just stupid shit. Yeah, that's a disrespectful person. So now, with disrespectful people, it's limited time, limited access. I don't want you draining my energy, and putting all your bad energy in my body, and then I'm going to have some kind of problem later because you've sucked my divine energy out of me. So limited access, saying no, setting happy, healthy boundaries. If to the empaths out there, the good girls, the good boys, episode 4 of a Lights Out Narcissistic podcast, I go through each step of how to say no and how to start setting boundaries.
Yeah.
Because it's terrifying at first. Your
Yeah.
throat closes up, your heart beats so fast, and when you can't say no and you don't have boundaries, you get sick.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I saw is I got sick a lot. And I sometimes wonder if some of these autoimmune disorders are from that. And it's not your fault because you weren't taught how to say no growing up and set boundaries.
Yeah.
You were taught everyone else's feelings matter more than yours. So then you get in an abusive relationship and it's horrible, you know? And so I tell the listeners, we're not here to shame ourselves. We're here to realize we were groomed from childhood to always think about everyone else's feelings, to never say no. So when the opportunity comes to say no, it's nearly impossible because we were groomed to override our system, to think about everyone else, and to be okay with abuse, literally.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, now my body is doing great. I haven't been able to run for 10 years, probably because I couldn't say no, couldn't set boundaries. I can run now. I have so much energy. I'm cleaning everything. I used to be so depressed.
Yeah.
I'm cleaning things, I'm going places, I'm meeting people, I'm having fun, and it's really just because I'm protecting my divine sacred energy inside of me now. It's
Yeah.
not being siphoned.
Yeah, that's amazing to hear that you've come out probably even better, on the other side of that difficult, relationship. I don't know if difficult would define it, but but
Yeah. Crazy.
but yeah,
Manic. Yeah.
but that time, yeah. I think that's a huge takeaway as we like kind of start to wrap up too, is because you really have to protect your energy, and you have to look at the relationships around you, the relationships you're in. It's not going to be easy. It may not be easy, right? To say no to those people or to leave them. Maybe that might need to be what needs to happen.
Yeah.
But for your own health, your own peace of mind, your own protection, like sometimes that does need to happen. Um, and there are resources out there, of course, whether you're, listening to podcasts, getting professional help in other ways, like to help you kind of deal with some of that stuff. I think that's super important to mention too. Um, but I think that's like a big takeaway there is that you can get through it. And
Yes.
yeah, it may not be easy, but you can get through it. And sometimes you might have to do the difficult thing and cut ties with people. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. If it wasn't for her, other people would still be running my own life. So when you can't say no, other people are running your own life. You're
Hmm.
just doing whatever they want. So it's
Yeah.
freedom.
Yeah. And I always look at it too, I mentioned my ex-husband because
Yeah.
I feel like there was still a reason, he was in my life. And so first of all, obviously I learned from that situation, but we moved to Florida together, which was always like a kind of dream goal of mine. I'm from, Indiana, like square state, but
Yeah.
I'm a water bug, I love palm trees, the sun, like all that stuff. Um, I wouldn't have done it alone, so maybe that's why he was in my life to get me to Florida. Um, and then it just opened my eyes more once we had moved because we didn't have our support system anymore either. But to me, like also evaluate it and look at what came out of it. For you, your podcast came out of it.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's probably more, too, but there's a reason we even go through some of these things sometimes, I think, as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Narcissists are here to literally teach us how to have boundaries,
Mm-hmm.
like traumatize us into having boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
And we think the lesson and we honor the pain and we release them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And thank you for sharing your story with me. I know that's hard to do. So I
Mm.
appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you. It's been years. It's just not something I necessarily like talk about all the time, but I don't really have an issue talking about it now, of course. But again, it's, whether it's your story or mine or anything in between, I think I'm hoping that this episode just kind of opens up people's eyes as to, maybe some things that might be going on in their life that they need to evaluate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're blind to a lot of things that are going on until either we realize it or someone else points it out.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I had been told my whole life, you're too nice, Sage. And I was like, I don't even know what that means. And then I realized, oh, what people are saying is you have no backbone. You let everyone steamroll all over you.
Hmm.
You wait hand and foot to horrible people and you let them. And that was true.
Yeah.
So now, yeah, I respect myself, you know, if
Hmm.
I don't need to answer people's text messages right away. I don't need to, if something feels iffy and someone just invited me somewhere, give me 10 minutes and I'll see if it's aligned and I'll get back to you if it
Yeah.
is. You
Yeah.
know,
Hmm.
it's respecting your time, energy, peace. You're expensive and you don't give yourself away to just anyone if you're expensive. They have to earn
Hmm.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. We only get one body and one mind, right? So we
Mhm.
want to protect it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I tell people get angry at all the theft, energetic theft. These people, these narcissists, like my hair was falling out after this.
Mhm.
My hormones were going crazy, my skin, cystic acne, all this stuff. And it's just a response to stress.
Yeah. Yeah. It's your body talking to you, right? Yeah. Oh my
Mhm.
gosh. You mentioned the hair loss because yeah, I had a bald spot at one point when I was with my husband too. Like that just made me think of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy what your body, goes through when your mind is going through something. Yeah.
Yeah. It will speak to you. And, like with those with like autoimmune disorders and stuff, I wonder if, and this is just my opinion, but I wonder if a part to getting better would be saying no and setting boundaries.
Oh
Because
yeah.
when you can't, it gets stuck in your body and then autoimmune disorders happen.
Hmm.
So maybe, I don't know for
Yeah.
sure. That's just speculation, but it could be part of it.
Yeah. I think that's with a lot of things, honestly. When we first talked, I mentioned German new medicine, but even whether you're using something like that or just in general, I think we can store traumas, we can store unprocessed emotions, for years. And they can show up in our body in a lot of different ways, from autoimmune conditions, to just maybe everyday aches and pains. We can hold stress in our hips and our shoulders and our neck and and all that stuff. I definitely believe there is a correlation there for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, absolutely. I love how you said in your hips. Um, I've had double hip surgery. And, for the people that believe in spiritual stuff, hips is betrayal trauma.
Hmm.
So that's where betrayal gets held.
Yeah.
And so when someone has hip problems, I know they've probably, a majority of the time, they've probably been cheated on. That's where I
Hmm.
go. I'll be like, oh, have you been cheated on? Yeah. Okay. Because that's a betrayal.
Yeah.
It goes to
Yeah.
the hips.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. Well,
Yeah.
thank you for being here and for sharing your story and being vulnerable with me. Um,
Thank you for having me.
yeah. So, how can people find your podcast or connect with you?
Yeah. So I'm on everything. A lights out, and you have to put the A A Lights Out Narcissistic podcast is on Apple, Spotify. I have a YouTube channel, Amazon Music, Deezer. And then on my Instagram, it's A_lights_out_narcissistic_pod. You can contact me. There's also my website there that you can check out my website. And yeah.
Good. I'll put all that in the notes as well, but I still like to ask.
That's perfect.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again. And yeah, we'll see everybody next time. A truly raw and unfiltered conversation with Saige. I will be sure to link everything in the show notes if you'd like to connect with her. And if you're enjoying the podcast, come join us inside the Healthy Ever After app. It's where we continue the conversation with community, recipes, resources, and exclusive content. Plus, it is your last chance to get my free summer sanity guide just for joining before the fall edition comes out. The link is in the show notes for you. And if you love this episode, make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Because healing doesn't come from doing more. It comes from understanding better. I'm sending you so much love, and I'll see you on the next episode of PCOS Unfiltered. Nourish, heal, thrive.